What happens when a Fortune 1000 behavior designer hits a health wall and finds healing not in a lab, but in medicinal mushrooms? Today's guest left the corporate world behind after discovering that nature was doing what modern systems could not. Now he's on a mission to help 1 million people reclaim their health using ancient mushroom medicine that captures what most supplements leave behind. He's blending old world spagyric extraction with modern innovation, traveling the country in an RV with his dog and quietly changing how we think about healing from the inside out. Meet Ben Brassington, the medicine man behind Bear Remedy. Welcome back to the Metamorphosis Project Podcast. I am your host, Tina Eichenberg, and today I have with me Ben Brassington. Did I say that correctly?
You did, yes.
Perfect. I always take a few minutes before each podcast and try to make sure I'm pronouncing them, correctly, because Tina Eichenberg is not an easy name to say when you see it written down on paper.
Yeah.
But welcome to the show. How is your day going?
It's crazy. It's never ending. I crazily announced something at the start of the year. Now I'm like, oh, this is going to be a lot of fun, but also a lot of work. So I announced that we're going to be recruiting 1,000 distributors over the next 12 to 24 months for our company, which is awesome, right? This is just in the US. This is not international. But I'm like, well, if I'm going to do that, I want these people to be thriving and loving life, right? So I said, we're going to recruit them, but we're also going to get them to 100K. So it's the 1,000 to 100K challenge, right?
Okay.
And then I'm like, well, but they get to choose how frequently they want that 100K. So right now we're furiously building out all the systems to support them to achieve, hey, I want to make 100K a year. I want to make 100K a month. I want to make 100K a quarter. So we've gone and built our own AI tools to help them run their business and thrive and succeed. And we've taken all the ways we failed last year and kind of we're getting rid of those problems and those bottlenecks and literally building out new stuff to actually empower our team just to grow. So it's kind of stressful, but it's so exciting all at the same time. So it's just kind of yeah, that's a big vision and a big goal, but wow, all right, cool. It's a great challenge.
Right. Absolutely. It sounds like a very ambitious challenge, but when you have that ambition, you have that passion that you have for your business, it really doesn't feel like work, right? It's more
No,
fun and enjoyable. And yes, there's stress to it, but no one ever said that fun isn't stress free,
exactly.
right? Like
And,
it's fun going sledding down a hill, but that hill can go really fast and that can be a little stressful, but it's still fun.
Yeah, exactly. But it's good fun. It's rewarding fun. It's a challenge that once you launch stuff and when you see the results, that it becomes very, very exciting and just creates more motivation. Because we already said, hey, yeah, we want to feed 1 million people this year. That's great. That's one thing. And this just ties into that. And it's all about empowering people on their holistic health journey, which is really what we're all about. And I'm like, well, it's one thing about just giving people access to a bottle, but then it's just hey, okay, how do we help this bottle actually mean something to you and make an impact in your life? And yeah, I think that's worth waking up for.
100%. So what got you into the holistic side of healing? Because you were in the corporate world for a while and
Yeah.
you left that to heal, or was it to heal and then you started your business, or was it kind of like all at once?
No, it was certainly not all at once. So I know I went through 6 years of IVF with my ex-wife. So that was always a fun and exciting journey because we had care all around the world. And then that gave us an interesting perspective on how different countries, different philosophies approached health healing, which was very interesting and unique to see in itself. And then from that, I went through all the corporate burnout, the depression, and all that type of stuff because I was consulting to Fortune 100 companies. And that in itself sounds great, but not necessarily the most riveting thing at times. And when I was burnt out, it was when the world of mushrooms really came into my life, just coincidentally. And because of that, I just fell in love with it. And I'm like, well, how do we because a great product came into my world. And then it's just well, how do I bring this great product to the world? And I need something. I was hating what I was doing. I was dreading my emails. I was dreading waking up, to be honest. And so it just kind of came opportunistic. And I said, you know what? I want to build my life around really helping people. Because one of the things I was doing, we had a company that was doing AI automation. We were doing helping people eliminate jobs, helping people improve efficiencies in their company, which is great in some regards. You help companies do stuff, but you also impact people not necessarily in the best way. And I'm like, this is just exhausting because I know that people are trying to protect what they do, protect their jobs, but like there's technologies evolving. We're all having to adapt, and it was this adapt thing people don't like. So I'm like, well, the holistic health movement just said, yeah, this feels good because when you make a difference in people's life, you get referrals, they refer you to their friends, and like they literally call me daily and go, this is changing my life. And I'm like, yeah, I can do something with that. I can devote what I do to making that impact. So that's really how it came about. It was through the whole thing of burnout. I know one of the ways I got into mushrooms was literally because I had so much depression, so much anxiety. I was sitting on the couch crying, frustrated, and not having the motivation to get out and go do the work I knew I had to go do. And I took some mushrooms, and within an hour, I felt like a weight had been lifted from my soul, not just from my body, but like literally just, I'm like, wow. Because it was at that point in time, I was literally looking for maybe clinical trials or studies to help me with depression, anxiety, and everything that I was going through, like that self-sabotaging loop we go through as entrepreneurs, business owners,
Right.
and I'm like, maybe I'm broken and I've got to go get fixed. Like, who can fix me?
You can fix you,
Exactly.
right?
So, yeah.
So a lot of people when they hear mushrooms, they think psychedelics. And these are not the
Hmm.
mushrooms that you're talking about, correct?
Correct. No, we don't
Yeah.
really use any psychedelics.
Yeah. So these are mushrooms. Now, I mean, I say these are mushrooms that you find out in the forest, but you find psychedelics out in the forest as well. But these are food mushrooms. They're medicinal because they're natural to our world. They're natural to our environment. They're like fruits and vegetables. Are they a vegetable?
I'm not 100% sure. They call them functional mushrooms
Okay.
or they're holistic mushrooms because I know we've got multiple forms. So we've got the mushrooms that we put into our tinctures or our gummies, for example. And then we've got the mushrooms that we're growing for our instant meals, or we're going to be rolling out mushroom jerky as an option later this year as well. So like these mushrooms take in multiple forms, which is what's really exciting. And the world of functional mushrooms is not new. Like this is
Right.
centuries old of knowledge. But what I've also learned in this world, I can mention the form of spagyric extraction, right? Most people, even though they're in the world of mushroom extraction, have never even heard about it. And it's because it's one of the oldest, most potent ways to extract mushrooms. So like, yes, it's and one of the big things I've noticed recently is there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in the mushroom world where science is realizing that microdosing stuff is actually more powerful than macrodosing stuff
Hmm.
because like people will microdose baby aspirin, but like they think when it comes to mushrooms, oh, let me eat them all. Like
Right.
it doesn't necessarily work like that. And there's some mushrooms that work better micro than big dose. So it's not, you don't want to extra large or supersize some of this sometimes. But the world of mushrooms is was when I got into it, I realized that the market was being promised one thing and not getting delivered that. And that was the really thing that I stood to stand against, creating a company and a product that's built around not compromising product quality or integrity. And
Right.
that makes a big difference. So like our extraction process takes 8 weeks to get the goodness out of the mushrooms into these bottles. 8 weeks. Other companies can be as little as 1 hour, right?
Oh, wow.
But what's really important from that is potency, bioavailability, and dosage. What they won't tell you is to have their gummies, for example, if you've got to have their gummies, you've got to have 12 of their gummies, usually packed with sugar and caffeine, because it's got no mushrooms in it, just to even get
Hmm.
a decent dose. Where I'm like, no, like, why can't I just make it one gummy? So that means as a client, have to buy less. Like
Yeah.
to me, that stuff made sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people think that mushroom supplements don't work, and that's because of the dosages, right? Is that they're probably taking too much or too little.
Well, 99% of the time, if they were taking too much, they'd certainly feel it. The problem is in the products they're having, there's a fart's worth of mushroom, which would be the technical term. And the
You say a
dosage is just,
fart's worth?
yeah, a
Okay.
fart's worth of mushroom. Yeah, so the dosage in that is never going to actually meet anything that your body will actually consume because of the bioavailability. And so, yeah, like they're like, oh, yeah, I tried that mushroom coffee. One, it tasted like crap. And two, I didn't feel anything. I'm like, yeah, that's because the mushroom they use in it is literally just enough to say technically there's mushroom in it, but it's the crappiest of crap quality. And it's usually the roots of the mushroom, the mycelium, not the mushroom fruiting body that has all the power and the energy. So, yeah, like the world of this is huge. But the way it's sold in the US is most people are buying a completely compromised and inferior product.
Well, that's
Just
just about
because,
everything in the US at this point, I think.
yeah, there was some mushroom supplements that were recently tested. And this is also similar to many other supplements. It's just not mushrooms. But they found that 46% of the stuff in the capsule was sawdust.
Oh,
And
wow.
and and that's leading brands. This is not your backyard producer. This is leading brands who sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of product every single year.
Yeah.
And yet they produce all this research to show, oh, this is why this is so good. And like they're kind of producing all this research that isn't peer validated.
Right.
And they're trying to say that, oh, this is the way of the future.
Right. It's not third party tested. And yeah, it when I started on my health journey back in like 2013, first started, it was like um cutting out foods. And so I had to really look at labels and stuff. And I found out that the Parmesan cheese, like the Kraft Dust Parmesan cheese, had cellulose in it. And I didn't know what cellulose was at the time. And once I found out it was sawdust, I was like, WTF? Like,
Yeah.
why, how is this okay that we're ingesting wood?
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
know
But that's been
wood
FDA
is
approved.
natural, but like, come
Yeah.
on.
I find that fascinating that they go, oh yeah, but it's FDA approved. I'm like,
Right.
but it's like, but so is gasoline and everything else. And it was amazing when I was making our products, the amount of ways that I got asked if I wanted to compromise the quality of the product. Hey, do you want to use this type of glycerin that's a gasoline based, like fuel based, rather instead of an alcohol based? Like, or do you want to use these sugars instead of xylitol, which is the better sugar to use as a sweetener, right? Like all these little things and like 100 different ways to compromise that integrity. Or they're like, Ben, you really don't need to do spagyric extraction because it's going to be time and money and blah, blah, blah. But this is how we can have a potency of greater than 90%. So, and what's really cool is like you take one dropper um, of our bottles, like one mil dropper is 90 grams of mushrooms. Most of our competitors don't even have 90 grams of mushroom in an entire bottle.
Yeah.
Like, so there's all these differences and that people aren't aware of. But it happens in any world, right? Like, in any health world, this exists because of, I guess, capitalism. But this is where the opportunity is, I think. And when people find quality stuff, they love it. They become raving fans,
Right.
and it's easy to build a community around that.
Absolutely. So if someone were to pick one mushroom to start with on their healing journey, what mushroom would you suggest? Or do you need to know what it is that they want to address?
I would say, what is it you're actually looking to address? Because a lot of people usually pick the mushroom of flavor based on who's teaching them, lion's mane or chaga or whatever it is, right? There's pros and cons with everything, right? But the
Right.
reality is I say to people, what is it you're trying to do, and what's your life look like right now? right? Like,
Okay.
do you need more energy? And are you having 8 cups of coffee a day? Like, I was talking to one guy who was drinking 6 Monster energy drinks a day and half a
Oh my
bottle of
gosh.
NyQuil, half a bottle of NyQuil at night just to go to sleep. No wonder he's ramping himself up with so much caffeine, right? That now he's
Right.
needing half a bottle of NyQuil, and he's been doing that for, like he said, like 15 to 20 years.
Oh,
That's
his
normal
adrenals are
for him.
shot.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So I know what we need is we need some help on the energy side, and then we need help on the hormone
Right.
stabilization side, and then we need help on sleep and
Okay.
rest and recovery and getting deep restorative sleep, right? So he leveraged, and we're a big believer in the blending mushrooms, not just saying, hey, you want lion's mane for this, you want chaga for this, you want this for this, like, because then what people don't realize is you're now buying 10 bottles of stuff
Right.
when you really don't need it. So we create synergistic blends for people. But so if you're looking, here's my secret. If you're looking for more energy, leverage something that's cordyceps based. Because cordyceps, what they do and how they usually, you don't want to do it with caffeine or you don't need it with caffeine because cordyceps actually tell the body to naturally produce energy, not fake energy. And you can actually have energy for 4 to 6 hours, smooth, clean energy with no crash. But what you'll see a lot of companies who are compromising themselves do is they go, oh, we've got cordyceps with caffeine, with sugar.
Right.
So what they've really said is we've got a fart's worth of mushroom, and then we've
I'm
got
going to
we've
open a
got
coin that.
yeah we've got 1,000 milligrams of caffeine. But so what you're feeling is not the mushroom, if that
Right.
makes sense.
What you're feeling is the
Um,
sugar and the caffeine,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you're paying for that little bit of mushroom because it says it on the label, which so many supplements these days lack what they're actually advertising.
100%. And so like and most men and women need hormone
Yeah.
stabilization. They need immunity boosting, all these
Yep.
type of stuff. So a lot of people suffer from brain fog and just mental clarity, mental recall, short-term, long-term mental health. Like that's where lion's mane comes in. And a lot of people are loving that. That's why we've got we even leverage our own lion's mane blend or lion's mane in a lot of our stuff. But it's not just about, oh, I'm going to the farmer's market and eating it, because what people don't realize is superfood and it passes through your body within 24 hours.
Hmm.
So it's not like you're going to take, oh, I ate lion's mane 2 weeks ago and I'm not feeling anything. Never were intended to.
Right.
Like,
Right. And that's where the microdosing comes in. And I think that is huge to apply to anything that we do. That
yeah,
microdosing is really the best way to go. Your fruits, your vegetables, your meats, anything that you put into your body,
yeah,
exercise, microdosing instead of going hard and heavy, because when you go hard and heavy, things break down, things get
yeah,
disconnected,
you're
and
100%
and you
right.
get away from it.
And it's about resetting and balancing all the
Right.
systems, right? It's not about like we've got to a generation where we're surging ourselves with stimulant in the morning, and then we're having to surge ourselves with melatonin or whatever, or CBD or cannabis
Yep.
or whatever to try and sleep in the evening. And
Right.
this is that quick fix. And like to get off that roller coaster, you have to understand, well, what is my body's cycle throughout the day? What is my body's cycle throughout the month? What is my body's cycle throughout the quarter? Like we've all got one, and it all depends on the people we're around, what's giving us life, sucking us life. Like these are important questions when you're looking holistically. Like it's not just, oh, let me take a bottle of this stuff and feel magnificent, because yeah, that's short-sighted.
Yeah. Yeah. And what are your thoughts on all of the because right now the big thing that I see coming across my social media is the mushroom coffees. And I've also heard that a lot of these things have a lot of mold in them. So what are your thoughts on that? Like I mean, I'm not naming any companies because there are hundreds of different mushroom coffees out there.
Yeah,
But
well, I'm not a seller of mushroom coffee, so but I've pretty much tried every single one of them.
okay,
The I say to people, I'm like, you've already got a coffee or a tea you love, right?
right.
Why try to replace it with something that is usually inferior, right? They don't have the mushrooms you actually need. They don't have a clinical dose of mushrooms. They don't have good tasting coffee, right? And usually you put that mixture of stuff in your cup and you get to the bottom of the cup and it's all there. So you
Right.
literally, what did you drink?
Right.
So the thing is we went under the philosophy of like, can't you just turn your coffee into a superfood? Because you already love something. You just take a shot of something or add it to your coffee. Now
Right.
your coffee is a superfood. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out about these brands or these products, and but some people love them. Some people are like, yes, this thing because they're getting maybe something cleaner than they were. But yeah, most of the time it doesn't have actually what they need, and they're usually compromising on. Yeah, I'm drinking this stuff because I know it's good for me, but I really don't like it, which then doesn't make it easy to then
Right.
consume.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's one thing my husband always says when we're talking about making changes, getting healthier, those kinds of things is he wants to get healthier, but he doesn't want to feel like he's depriving himself of the things that he does like, and he shouldn't have to deprive himself of the things he likes to lead a healthier lifestyle. He
well,
should
it's
still be
not a
able to have
lasting
them in
change.
moderation.
Yeah, it's that's not going to be a lasting change, right? It's going to
Right.
be that quick fix. It's going to be, ugh, I've got to
Yeah.
choose the oatmeal raisin cookie over that double chocolate chip muffin over there. Like, why, right? So,
Right.
and like a lot of people tell me that when they call me, they're like, I like older people tell me, hey, I'm no longer having a nap in the middle of the day. I'm
Mm-hmm.
having enough energy to not only just get through my day, but I've got energy to spend with my family in the evenings. And for a lot of people, that's life changing. The quality of their life has dramatically improved. I have had people who've suffered from PTSD and say they haven't slept in many, many years go, I've actually had a good night's sleep for the first time in a long time, and I'm
Oh, that's
getting through the
wonderful.
night. But they're like, I'm waking up feeling refreshed, and I didn't have to dose myself with the stuff that kind of mutes or dulls my life.
Right.
Because that's one of the other side effects, right? Like when we're having these prescription drugs, it kind of mutes life. I know what that's like because I used to be able to go to Disney World, Disneyland, and I would be walking around and I'd still be the most miserable guy in the happiest place on earth. And it was just like, what's wrong with me? I don't understand this. Like I'm not finding this fun.
Right.
And it was like and people say they're really aware of what they're taking because it's muting everything in their life. It's
It
painting
does.
everything gray. And so like the vibrancy of even colors
Mm-hmm.
is a big thing for a lot of people. And we don't realize it is because of it's all connected.
Yeah, yeah. That's one thing I learned in when I started getting into to energy healing was the amount of things that are muted by what our body doesn't like. And our body does not like those prescription drugs that are supposed to help with anxiety, depression, sleep, blood pressure, all of those things. Our
Yeah.
bodies really don't like them because it's just covering up the symptoms. It's not getting to the root of the problem. And when
Yeah.
you take something more natural like mushrooms, it allows your body to reset and go, this I can accept.
You want to know something interesting about that is we created a mushroom blend that was really, really powerful for detox. And one of the things it would do for people is it would start to flush out their liver and kidneys and even their skin, right? And we had some people who were getting blood tests every 2 weeks. And a whole bunch of them started contacting us and going, hey, my doctor's mad at me because he's saying, why did I start taking the drug that I stopped taking 5 years ago? Why am I taking it again? And what we had to do some research on was that no, they weren't. They weren't taking it. It was literally it had been stored in their body, and their body was finally able to flush it because
Right,
people do a detox, but they don't necessarily do a cellular detox, a cellular clean. Their body can't release, and when your body can't process something, it doesn't necessarily flush it out. It
right.
stores it because it's trying to work out what the hell to do with it. So think about that. If you've been on prescription medication, even antibiotics for weeks, days, months. Some people have been on stuff for years. There was a lady
Yeah.
who said she would have it, and she used to get an injection every 2 weeks. And she said the injection site used to swell up like crazy when she'd have it, and then her arm would be sore for like a week and blah, 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 blah. And she said as soon as she started taking this stuff, the injection site went bright red and started to swell up again, like she'd had taken that medication. And she said,
Wow.
and then, but she said she'd always had elbow pain, funny
Mhm.
enough. And then she says, after about a month, she goes, all that was gone. She says, so she says, like, it was like my skin was finally releasing all the crap that was in it. And I'm like, well, yeah, the skin is an organ and it will store stuff and it
Right.
will help you release. She goes, yeah, I don't have that pain in my elbow and my shoulders anymore because it was finally able to release. And that's fascinating because, like, it's a holistic mushroom. It's a natural thing. It's not like this well renowned. Like there's even clinical studies around mushrooms from all around the world. Like there's one clinical study that even helped cancer patients extend their life on average by 5 years.
Wow.
Like, yeah,
By
but when you go to
introducing
talk,
mushrooms into their diet.
yeah, just adding mushrooms with their treatment. But yet, if you go ask any doctor about this,
Right.
they won't cite it, they won't reference it, they won't recommend it. And yeah, so there's unfortunately different movements, and I know the FDA just classified a whole bunch of mushrooms like as a paintbrush. Just said, yeah, no, they're bad, they're unable to be sold. And what that does is it puts pressure on the banks who do all the merchant processing and the funding for companies like mine and go, yeah, no, you can no longer process
Right.
that money anymore, that transaction. We had that happen for one of our product lines that we put a whole bunch of time and money into over the last year. So we sold 5,000 of these, never had a chargeback, never had a refund. And clients loved it, like absolutely loved it because of it dealt with inflammation and pain. All right.
Mhm.
And yet the FDA ruled on it and said, no, it can't be used in food. Just our research says it's bad. So now it's bad. So the banks literally froze our merchant accounts 3 times and
Oh,
just, but our clients were then so pissed because they're like, this is the first time I've had relief. I'm
right.
like, I'm sorry, the FDA says I can't sell it. They're like, yeah, like they get it, but like yeah, it's like one misunderstanding means gets everything
Yeah.
judged.
Yeah. It's amazing how deep the the misunderstandings go when money's involved.
Oh, yeah, yeah, very much so.
All right. So what is the typical routine like when someone's starting mushroom tincture? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the typical routine would be based around what you're trying to achieve. So we tell most people, for example, they usually have our 3 bottle set, for example. They usually taking these in the morning with their coffee. We're giving them all day energy with our performance blend, which is got cordyceps, reishi, maitake, and redalia, which is a natural herb, which is phenomenal for clean energy. So they just take one dropper full of this. And most companies are going to be advertising around one dropper, but the difference is how they extract. So we'll get into how the different types of mushroom extraction as well next. But so most people take this dropper in the morning, this dropper in the morning as well, because it then helps them with their immune, their hormone suppression. So they're not going to getting stressed. They're not going to get that phone call or that text message and instantly be like panicking. Like it just
Mhm.
helps them smooth out the day's roller coaster. Some people also take another shot of this. A lot of my road warriors, people who are nurses, flight attendants, people like that who are very, very active and need to be for a whole shift may take it again at lunchtime or what they call their lunchtime because it then gives them that smooth process 4 to 6 hours. And then usually we've got a relief blend that helps people in the evenings to settle down, to calm down, to actually have a good night's sleep. For people who are having real hard time sleeping, we've actually started recommending to take an extra dose around 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon or like towards the end of their day, but not an hour before bed, because then that's giving their body a chance to go, okay, we're going to have to rest soon and kind of help them wind down, particularly
Right.
because most people aren't, we're saying, don't give up tea, don't give up coffee, still have what you want to have it with what you're having. And most people take for granted how much stimulants they're actually having.
Yeah.
Or how much sugar, how much caffeine, how much whatever that's keeping them up. It's not just coffee, even though coffee gets the bad name, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, yeah, so most people do it in that cycle, and they work. Some people, if you're just having one supplement, you may have it in the morning and you get all day benefit. The thing you need to remember is most mushrooms will flush out of your body within 24 hours. So then those symptoms start coming back that you had, that you're dealing with, be it menopausal symptoms or whatever, like within 24 hours. So it's not something that you're having once a week. If someone's promising you that, I'd love to
Right.
see the research, or what, even if a citizen research, because sometimes the citizen-based research is actually better than the clinical trial stuff, because
I
when you can
agree.
have 3,000 people document stuff that they've done for over a year or 2 years, and you're just like, whoa, this stuff is crazy. But
Right.
yeah, does that help? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is you were going to go into the process of extracting the mushrooms?
Yeah, so most people aren't aware of what it goes in. And this is not just mushrooms, this is any holistic supplement, which will really help people. So there's really three forms of extraction. There's a water-based extraction, and water is literally like boiling the kettle or boiling a pot to cook some pasta. No
Hmm.
difference, right? Some people go, oh, we do a 5-day water extraction, which just really means they leave it boil for 5 days on a slow
Right.
simmer, right?
Yeah.
It's funny when you demystify the marketing terms of it and you go, oh, some people go, oh, we do dual water extraction. Okay, so you boil the pot twice. Hot, cold, hot, cold. Great. Okay, cool. So there's water extraction. Anything that's a water-based extraction is usually about somewhere between 10 and 15% bioavailability. So that means your body's actually only going to consume 10 to 15%, right?
Okay.
The next one is what we have is alcohol extraction. Alcohol extraction is the same thing, but alcohol will extract different fats, minerals, terpenes, salts, you name it, right? So some people, oh my gosh, you can't do alcohol. But I'm like, well, you're missing out on the benefit of then a water with an alcohol, because it's adding fats, minerals, salts, nutrients that you didn't get and will never get out of a water extraction. So then some companies call this the dual extraction, the water and then the alcohol. But we take it one step further by including a third step, and this is the expensive step. And this is what they call spagyric extraction. And what we do is we take the mushroom that's gone through the water and then the alcohol, and then what we do is we burn it into ash, white ash. So then we actually load that back into the tincture blend, and now you've got all of the fats, minerals, nutrients, and then so remember, water is about 10 to 15%. This is maybe 30% if these two together. And then when you're talking about this one, adding this is how we get to 95% bioavailability. 95% of it, your body will absorb or more.
Okay, because you've
And so
basically
that's
taken the mushroom, you've burned them and reduced them down to ash, and then you put them back into the alcohol or the water solution.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So
Okay.
then you're getting all of the fats, all of the minerals, all of the nutrients, all of the salts, all of the terpenes, all of the beta glucans. Everything is now back in there. So your body is absorbing it. A lot of people actually tell us when they try these forms of the spagyric extractions, they're like, it feels like it's almost alive. And
Hmm.
it's like, well, you've got literally there's a whole bunch of old science and research around it. You've literally got all the energetic properties of the mushroom. You're not literally fleecing it, and therefore the product is dead. So there's a whole bunch of insight around that, but some people are like, I don't believe that woo-woo stuff. But they'll
I'm
come
all
back and
woo-woo.
yeah, they'll come back and they'll buy a second bottle because they're like, this stuff seems to work. And like we know that this stuff is important. So like we always give our clients a sample. So we literally send them a single sample shot bottle and go, hey, try it. Because if it
Right.
doesn't work, we don't want your money. Like we
Right.
want to create raving
Exactly.
fans. And people are like, I didn't think this stuff would work because we always hear it. We tried mushrooms before and they're like, but holy crap, I had all day energy. I gave someone one of our gummies just yesterday. I'm like, dude, I had clear energy all day and I was like in my flow state way easier than ever before. And that's just the power of like not compromising and using a more expensive extraction process to create that best possible client experience product.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
my guess is that, I mean, the bottles are a fairly good size.
Oh,
So
it's a
I'm
month
guessing the
supply,
bottles
right?
probably last a month.
Yeah, 100%. So like every single bottle, what's funny is like in comparison to a lot of our competitors, our bottles are smaller. but it's still a month's supply because you're actually having to have less. You don't have to take
Right.
3, 4, 5 droppers as a dose. You only have to take one. And that's why, like, adding this as a shot to your coffee, now you've turned your coffee or your tea into a superfood, and you'll notice the difference with it. You should be feeling these within about 15 minutes. Like, you'll start noticing them. That's how rapid they can kick in when you've got a quality product.
I love it. I love it. I may have to order some samples myself and try those out, and for my husband as well, because I think we would both benefit from he would benefit from taking something that he can't taste, but still feel the effects of. That's what he needs. And by
Yeah.
putting it
So
in his coffee, in his tea, he probably won't taste it.
no, he wouldn't taste it, but he may enjoy it taking the because he does feel it strong if you put it under your tongue. It does have a little bit of an alcohol kick because we do use alcohol extraction, obviously.
Right.
But like some people are like, oh, I enjoy that hit, and like they literally feel like their body waking up as it goes down. So one of the disclaimers I mention to people is like, if you're anything like me, you may make a coffee. Right. And if you then have your coffee sitting on the desk, it may take an hour to get through the coffee or 2 hours, or you realize that you've still got half of
Right.
it sitting in the cup. So you have to be aware of it. If you've made this whole thing, your dose is
You
now
got to
all
make
in
sure
this
you
thing.
drink it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you got to make sure
if
you drink it in an appropriate amount of time, or else, does it lose its effectiveness because you've drank it over 8 hours? And I would say it
exactly,
probably
well,
does.
100%. Or
Yeah.
you don't want to be having energy kick in that lasts for 4 to 6 hours at 5 o'clock in the
No,
afternoon
no.
if you're trying to go to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock. But like, or the difference is literally having one small dropper, right? Like,
Right.
so the thing is it easier just to take it? And we find that most people by day 3, they're like, I'm loving taking this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference, right? So yeah, but it all comes down to your goal. Some people are like, oh, I sleep like a champ. Then don't bother with the relief. Like, don't bother taking mushrooms that are going to be helping with sleep and recovery. However, if you're working out, doing fitness, want to optimize your recovery, this stuff is fantastic because not only do we include mushrooms, we include ashwagandha.
Hmm.
And there's a whole bunch of other benefits from creating synthetic blends that actually work well together rather than just going, hey, you need 10 different things. Because no one likes taking 10 different supplements.
No, no, I've been there. I was taking, I want to say 10 or 15 at one point, and I got off all of them, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I mean, when you have to take a handful of pills to feel marginally better, knowing, of course, that once you've done your research and you know that when you're taking those, you're not getting the full benefits of those supplements because you lose so much in digestion
Oh,
before it even
100%.
starts to get absorbed.
The ones
And I
that always
know,
blew my mind were the horse pill, which was always the fish oil pill.
yes,
And oh, I'm like, I could never get that thing down. I'm just like, gosh,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and
There were
then
so
you
many things I
squirt it into the
switched.
drink or,
Yep,
yeah.
yeah, there were so many things I switched from pill version to the liquid version. And I tell you what, pill version tasted so much better. But I got better benefits from the liquid versions because I could put them under my tongue for, you know, 10, 15 seconds and then swallow them. And I got the more of the absorption from them. So I am 100% for anything
Yeah,
that goes under
100%.
the tongue to be absorbed because it breaks that barrier. And that's what we need to,
Yeah, well,
because a
and that's
lot
one
of
of the
this,
reasons we create. Yeah,
go
I was going
ahead.
to say that's one of the reasons we created our gummy version of it as well. Because some people are like, oh, I don't really like the tincture version. So we took our two popular ones of our immunity and our performance and literally put it into a gummy form. And people love it because now I can travel with it. I don't have to worry about
Right.
bottles. I can have it an extra gummy. Or if I know I'm going into something in the afternoon, you just take one gummy as that pickup or two gummies as the pickup, whatever you want your dosage to be. And they find it more effective for them. So that's also quite beneficial. But I disclaim to
I lost you
people,
there at the end.
sorry,
That's okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Your internet was going in and out.
my disc. It's probably because there's like been tornado warnings here in Rogers, and there's this massive storm that's come through
Oh,
right now. So it's just like of all days, like who knows? There could be Alice's tornado could be going on outside right now, and
but
I'm sitting here
you
in a
know what?
podcast. It
People are
doesn't
going
really
to
matter.
hear what they need to hear.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's, it's all good. But you were saying that the people like the gummies because they're easier to travel with. They don't have to
Yeah,
worry
but
about the
so
bottles.
yeah, the disclaimer on the gummies is really be careful. A lot of these gummy companies are compromising and they're using a lot of different types of sugars. So yeah, or they're saying, hey, the dose of the gummy is 12 gummies or 8 gummies in comparison to one, right? So the way we built ours is I'm like, well, one usually compares to about 8 to 12 of our competitors, but it's not packed with sugar. So really be like, a lot of people don't realize some of the gummies are having have got more sugar than a can of Coke.
Right. Ask questions because a lot of times they don't have all the ingredients on the back of those little packages. You have to look at the bigger package to see what all the ingredients are. Ben, thank you so
100%.
much for coming on. Where do people find your supplements, your tinctures if they want to give them a try?
Yeah, that's easy. It's bareremedy.net. So BARE remedy.net is where you can connect with us. You can order samples online, you can try them and enjoy them.
Perfect. I love it. I will definitely be ordering some samples because I love trying new things. When I was started going through my healing journey, I was like, I want to do ayahuasca. I want to do bufo. I did all these big things. They were incredibly helpful. And I have not done mushrooms yet, except for the little bit I've been putting in my tea here recently, and I'm interested to see how it affects me.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on the samples you get.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate you.
No worries.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Metamorphosis Project podcast. I hope today's episode brought you inspiration, joy, and a spark of empowerment. Remember, transformation is an incredible journey, and every single step you take towards self-care and healing brings you closer to the life you truly desire. If this episode uplifted you, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us to share this journey of hope, resilience, and joy with many listeners. For more tips, support, and inspiration, come and visit us at designyourexistence.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep shining brightly. You are absolutely worth every bit of love and care you give to yourself. Take care, stay joyful, and be well.